Hello, I'm Ollie and this is CriminOlly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, something a bit different, a review of a religious philosophical novel, Manalive by GK Chesterton. So this is the first book I've read in the series of books that I will be buddy reading with my dad. So my dad, if you missed my video launching this, provided me a little while ago with his list of his 12 favourite books. And we are buddy reading those one a month throughout 2025. So Manalive was the first of those. And we are reading them in the order that Dad thinks he read them originally. So he first read Manalive, I think, as a fairly young man. And he said to me that it was the first book he read and enjoyed that felt like kind of literature. So I think before then he probably mostly read science fiction and adventure type stuff. That's the kind of thing he really, really enjoys. But Manalive was a book that was a bit more literary, a bit more thoughtful, that he read and really enjoyed. So it was a very interesting experience for me reading it. I'll be upfront from the start. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was, I didn't like it as much as my dad does, but I can see why, as a young man, it would have spoken to him. It's a book that's quite thoughtful. It's got a lot going on. It's got a lot of ideas, but it's told in a humorous and engaging way. So I can definitely see why it would have appealed to him as a young man in, I guess, probably the 1960s. So let me talk a little bit about the book and about the author. So GK Chesterton is a very well-known kind of British writer and thinker. So a philosopher and a religious guy, as well as being a writer largely of kind of humorous books. So he's best known for his Father Brown series of books, which are kind of humorous detective short stories. And I have read a few of those over the years. I've read a few of the Father Brown stories. This was the first non-Father Brown thing that I'd read by Chesterton, though. So he was born in 1874, and he was a contemporary of people like George Bernard Shaw, and definitely someone who was, for whom religion and Christianity were very, very important. So he was born, I think, into a Church of England family. He looked into, experimented with Catholicism over the years and ended up considering himself to be an Orthodox Christian. So he was someone who didn't just do religion because it was what his family did. It was someone for whom it was very important and something that he thought about and considered a lot. And he did write some non-fiction religious books as well as the humorous fiction that he was best known for. And I think the thing that's interesting about Manalive came out in 1912, so after both some of the non-fiction religious books that he'd written and some of the early Father Brown stories. And I think Manalive kind of combines those two things. So it is a book with an idea and a philosophy at its heart, but it's also a book that is very engaging and humorous, like the Father Brown stories. For me, it's that combination of things that meant it didn't work quite as well as it might have. I felt like the ideas part of the book overwhelmed the storytelling part of the book. So the book starts in a boarding house in England where there's this kind of slightly strange group of characters, and it's quite humorous and light-hearted right from the start. And into this boarding house comes this guy called Innocent Smith, who at least one of the residents of the boarding house has known in a previous life, knew at university. And Innocent Smith comes to the house, which is on the top of a big hill, with a big gust of wind that kind of blows everything about. So there's a bit of importance to his arrival. And he moves into the house and he stays there and injects kind of more of a sense of fun, I guess, into the people in the house. And they start kind of living again a bit, enjoying themselves a bit more. At the beginning of the book, the house feels quite kind of dour. There's not much going on. They're all a bit depressed and kind of stuck in their routine. And Innocent Smith shakes things up a bit, and everybody starts having more fun as a result. Now there is then a big twist halfway through. The book is very much in two halves, and the tone of it, the style of it, changes a fair bit in the second half. It's still humorous, but what happens in the story is very different from the first half. And I found that a bit jarring, if I'm honest. I found that transition from the one way of kind of writing to another to be a bit disruptive. And I felt like it interrupted the story. I was enjoying the story that was being kind of laid out in the first half. When it gets into the second half and it's more obviously philosophical, I didn't enjoy it as much. Now, I won't give away what happens in the second half. I won't spoil the story, but it is a book that is, you know, thoughtful and philosophical, and uses kind of some of Chesterton's religious thinking to tell a story about these characters and to convey a message to the reader about, you know, the way you might want to live your life. Now, for me, as I say, that message felt like it overwhelmed the story. But some of the actual writing in this book and the characters in this book are really, really enjoyable. There's a lot of humour here. There's a lot of fun to be had with it. It's just that overwhelming need to give a message, for me, you know, kind of spoiled it a little bit. I'm more of a fan of the Father Brown stories I've read, which are more, you know, just more pure entertainment, in my opinion, anyway. So the first of my buddy reads with Dad wasn't a huge hit for me, but I definitely have enjoyed the experience of reading the book with him and discussing it with him. The second book is one I think I will enjoy a bit more, so that's An Old Captivity by Neville Shute. So this is a book about a pilot who goes on an expedition to the Arctic. I've read a couple of things by Neville Shute before and really enjoyed both of them, so I'm definitely looking forward to this. And Shute is, I think, my dad's favourite author. There's 3 or 4 Neville Shute books in the list of the books that we're going to be reading this year. So if you fancy reading along with us, grab a copy of An Old Captivity, and I'll be reading and talking about it and discussing it with my dad in February. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.